and read them, because a lot of us, when it comes to math, all we want to do is we want to just, hey, give me a problem, let me solve it. Okay. But word problems are not that bad. Okay. I promise you they're not that bad. So we're going to read this first problem. All right. And then we're going to go back and we're going to read it again. So a television weighs 50 pounds and a microwave weighs 30 pounds. A TV occupies 4 cubic feet and a microwave occupies 3 cubic feet. A truck is carrying 1,500 pounds of cargo that occupies 138 cubic feet of space. Which systems of equations can be used to find the total number of televisions T, and microwaves M that are in the truck? Now, before I reread, this very last sentence is important, okay? Because it tells me that television is going to be represented by T, okay? So I know I'm going to have a T. And microwaves will be represented by M. So my microwaves will be represented by M. So if I have a system of equations, I know that I'm going to have two of them. All right, so that's important to know because it tells us we're going to have a system, so we're going to have two of them. Okay. Now, one thing that's confusing about this question is we were reading it, we know we're talking about TVs and microwaves, then all of a sudden it changes to some truck carrying things. Okay, but be patient. We're going to go back, we're going to reread this again. All right, so let's go look at this again here. A television weighs 50 pounds and a microwave weighs 30 pounds. This portion is important because we're talking about weight. Okay, 50 pounds and 30 pounds. If I go through this next sentence talking about cubic feet, that has nothing to do with pounds, all right, or weight. So let's skip that sentence and let's read this next one. A truck is carrying 1,500 pounds of cargo. Again, another reference to weight, all right? So what we need to pay attention to is all of these are the same. They all are weight. They're all dealing with weight. So what I can do with these, I can take them and plug them into a system of equation because they all go together. All right. You want to keep similar measurements or anything like that together when we're talking about systems. We don't want to mix it all up. Everything needs to go together to make sense. So my television weighs 50 pounds. So each TV is going to weigh 50 pounds here. My microwave is 30 pounds. And it's all going to equal 1,500 pounds for the weight of the truck. Okay. So there's my first one there. All I've done is I've read this question, I've pulled out information that I know, and I've plugged it in there. So now let's go back to the sentence that we skipped. A TV occupies 4 cubic feet. 4 cubic feet is a size. And a microwave occupies 3 cubic feet. So this truck is carrying 1,500 pounds of cargo that occupies 138 cubic feet. So we have cubic feet, cubic feet, cubic feet. All three of these go together. Okay? So all I'm doing here is reading this and pulling information out. I've done zero math. Okay? All I've done is read, grabbed information that looked familiar, that was together, and I put it into my system here. So I know my TV is 4 cubic feet, plus my microwave is 3 cubic feet, and all should equal 138 cubic feet. Okay? So I have my two systems of equations here. Did it ask me to solve them? No. It just said which system of equation. All right, so all we're doing is we're writing our systems of equation. That's our system. So when I erase this and look at my choices there, okay, my choice for that 50T plus 30M would have been D. Okay, now some of you are probably wondering, Mr. Reed, this is a lot. I would never ever use this in the real world. Okay, well, this is a great real world example because let's say you have a company or a business in California, all right, and you have to ship these things all the way, we'll just say Kentucky. Okay, everybody knows they ship things on trucks, semis, right? Semis run on gas. Gas is expensive. Okay, so if you're making a haul that far, all the way across the country, don't you think you'd want to get the most product you could possibly get in a semi to have the most fuel efficient, way possible to get there without just shoving your trailer full of something, having a ton of extra space that you could be using, which means you're going to have to make multiple trips because you didn't use your space efficiently. Therefore, it costs you more money in gas, costs you more money in employees. All right. as a business, wasting money is not a good business procedures. Okay, you want to use your money efficiently. So if you set up a system like this, you could figure out, okay, what is the most fuel efficient or cargo efficient way to haul X amount of products across the country. Or maybe you have a spot in, I don't say Nebraska, Kentucky, and West Virginia. All three of them are making orders, but they're not big orders. Okay. What if you could fit all three of those orders on one truck instead of sending three separate trucks? That's a lot of money you could be saving. Okay. So by using a system of equation, we could solve this system to figure all these things out to create a most fuel efficient way, money efficient way to ship these things or send them in our cargo truck. Okay. So that's just one example. Now, a business, you may not sit down as a business and say, okay, hey guys, let's figure this equation out. All right. You may just use rational thinking. All right. That's why I tell you guys all the time, make math your own. Make it your own. There's no perfect way to sit here and solve this. Could I take this and get me a ruler out, sketch me a picture, and have, I don't know, have certain measurements of the TV and the microwave and literally draw those in a truck to figure that out? Yeah. Does that take a lot of time? Yeah. Is it a method for solving this? Yes. It's different, but it's the way you think. It's your rational way of thinking. Okay. Could I send a group of guys that go out to a truck and start loading up microwaves and TVs and moving things around and see how they fit? Yeah, it's called guessing and checking. Okay. You're figuring it out. You're using a model to figure it out. That's another way to do it. Okay. Make math your own. However you understand it, however you get it, do it that way. Okay. Obviously, the math is probably the quickest way because, I mean, how long would you think it would take to send, I don't know, 10 guys out, a bunch of microwaves and TVs, say, fill this truck up, let's see what we can get in it? Probably going to take a while. Okay. Or we can sit down and do the math. But neither way is wrong. Just like the example I give you guys, you fill up a page full of math and I do it in 3 steps. Who's wrong? We both have the same answer. Nobody's wrong. Okay. So this is just a method of solving this. I guarantee you a bunch of you could solve this a bunch of different ways if I threw on a sheet of paper and said, figure it out without telling you anything. I'll probably have pictures and all kinds of stuff, okay, to figure that out. So make math your own. All right. All right. So let's look at another. Let's look at number 4 right here. Okay. And we'll just leave that. That's fine. So again, read, reread, read again. I'm not just saying reread because my last name's read, whatever. Anyway, Ricky has a prepaid cell phone. Last week, Ricky made 4 calls and sent 20 text messages, which cost him $4. This week, he made 10 calls and sent 5 text messages, which cost him $5.50. Write a system describing the number of calls, C, and the number of text messages, T, Ricky made over the past 2 weeks. So just by this last sentence, I know that calls is going to equal C and text is going to equal T. Okay? So I have C and T, and I know that's going to be C plus T, C plus T. Okay? So let's figure this out here. This one's going to be a little different than the one we just had. Okay? So Ricky has a prepaid cell phone. Last week, Ricky made 4 calls and sent 20 text message calls, him $4. So maybe compared to what we did to the last example, you may be looking for calls and calls, but what else can you get out of that? In this instance, the things that go together are not like the same terminology. So it's not like calls, calls, and calls. Like in this example over here, we had pounds, pounds, and pounds. But in this one, we're putting these things together. So last week, we're dealing with 1 week. He made this in 1 week that cost him this. Okay, we're putting weeks together now. All this is combined to a week. So one thing that's important to have with systems is kind of like rational thinking. All right, looking at these, reading them, and determining how these things go together. All right, so last week he made 4 calls. He sent 20 text messages, and that all cost him $4. Some of y'all probably sitting there like, I make no calls and I'll send about 400 text messages in a couple hours. That's right. The next part, it says this week, So this way, again, then with weeks, he made, that did not change my color. There we go. He made 10 calls. He sent 5 text messages. So we made 10 calls. We sent 5 text messages. That cost us $550. Okay. So all these are in weeks. These are in the same weeks here. Write a system, describe the number of calls and the number of text messages Ricky made in the past 2 weeks. So here we go. There's our system. Do we have to solve it? No. It just said write. All it told us to do was to write it. We didn't do anything else but write that system. Okay. Now, why would we need a system equation for this to figure what out? Well, you could figure out how much each call costs and figure out how much each text message costs. Okay. For example, a lot of you guys in this generation, we don't like to make phone calls. You already just text and be done with it. Okay. But what if that conversation took you about 50 text messages? You could figure out how much each text message costs you, okay, per how much one call would cost you, and see what is the best method to make that conversation. Now, I know that doesn't apply to nowadays because, like, well, I got the unlimited plan. I just send them and call whoever, whenever. Yeah, I mean, I do too, but some people don't. So this is a method to figure these things out, okay, determine, when you're budgeting or things of that nature with your bills, okay? And it's also a way that companies use to determine how much they should charge for things. Maybe because used to on a cell phone, probably before you all were born, you did have to pay per text message. You had a plan like, oh, my plan includes 400 text messages in a month. Some of y'all wouldn't make it. 400 text messages, y'all send that in about 4 hours. But I remember the days where I was like, oh, I only got so many text messages left. I gotta be careful who I text. Don't be sending me messages. You're gonna get me in trouble. But it was free if you text AT&T to AT&T. So I made sure whoever my buddies were with AT&T phones, we could text all the time. And we had the phone, we had to hit the button 3 times to get a C. But anyways, so that is systems from word problems. We're just gonna do those two. Okay, we're just reading, pulling out information, plugging that information in. Most of the times it will tell you what variable goes to what, and I would always write that down so you know. And we're underlining, circling, putting squares around it, whatever it may be. Okay. So, does anybody have any questions for me? Other than